This 27-year-old has single-handedly revolutionized personal branding. This is Tom Noski, a creator.
They're almost scared to let that side of themselves fly. They're like, oh no, I'm altruistic.
An entrepreneur.
In today's video, I wanted to teach you guys my launch strategy. This number suddenly becomes my only goal during this 30-day period.
And a fucking beast of an athlete.
I think I grew up for years like not really knowing how to express myself. Feeling like there was a disconnect between, I guess, the person that I thought I was and the way that everyone else saw me.
I mean, if you ask me what my dream life looks like, it would be pretty similar to his. Tom has really shaped the way I view my own personal brand, adding a completely new perspective to the game. And today, I wanted to share those lessons with you. By the end of the video, you're gonna know exactly what his story is, how he got where he is today, and how you can even replicate his success. Let's roll it. It all started 8 years ago. Having just finished school, Tom translated his passion for fitness into becoming a personal trainer, but he quickly realized that the passion for fitness doesn't necessarily translate into a passion for a career in fitness. So after going through his first existential crisis, he decided to pick up a camera, because why not? Immediately he was obsessed. All he wanted to do is just take photos. And so for the next 2 years, he'd gone to pursue a career as a freelance videographer, all while growing an audience of 5,000 people. But then COVID happened, therefore his business was just wiped out overnight. But getting paid by the government to stay home, he showed the opportunity to try something new, and so he started a solo podcast. Every week for 1 hour he just recorded himself talking about his feelings, and he really enjoyed it. But in 2021, payouts stopped coming, and with no passion for freelancing anymore, he had to do something about that. Luckily, with a bit of perfect timing, he got in the NFT boom and sold just at the right time that he didn't have to worry about money for a while. He then used his money as a runway to figure out what the fuck he wanted to do with his life. And since running an Ironman had been one of his lifelong dreams, he decided to dedicate that entire year training for that race. And in 2022, Tom fulfilled his dream by finishing an Ironman. And not just that, he did it in under 10 hours. But he was still broke. So having all this confidence, he decided to give personal branding one last shot. With only 2 goals for the year: to craft personal brands representing everything that made Tom who he is, and to make $5,000 in a single month. To achieve that, he started selling digital products. To achieve that, he started selling digital products, something he actually loved doing. And after working the hardest he'd ever worked, he hit a record month of $49,680 in November of 2022. Not quite the 50K he was expecting, but it lit that fire in him and proved to him that it was actually possible. Now 2 years later, he's running his live cohort Time to Build, where he's taught over 650 students on how they can build such personal brands. Okay, cool, but what do you actually do to grow his personal brand? See, instead of just picking a niche and framing his personal brands all around that, he picked a different route. He went on to create an avatar of his dream follower. What stage they're in, what they're passionate about, what their dreams are. Everything that would go on to shape the exact type of person he was creating for and later selling to. He even went as far as giving them names, faces, and backstories. That way, he could post anything as long as it impacted that avatar, allowing him to post about his races, his relationships, and his desire for a purse.
And then I was like, oh, by the way, if you want to help me get allocation on my brand new olive green 992 GT3, then go and buy Time to Build.
Something, of course, many business owners will say, well, how does that fit into my business? These are the people whose brands I call niche with faces. But what they don't realize is that by crafting the stuff he wants to craft that still relate to his avatar, he's creating a brand that's not only sustainable, but even more converting. Something we can also see in Dan and Dallin's content. By showing the stuff that makes them who they are, they're connecting to the recipe on a far more personal level than they do if they were just targeting a problem. Not just that, he's also managed to create content at zero effort. He does that by simply filming his coaching calls. He's gonna have these goals anyway, so why not leverage them to produce even more content? And for 99% of videos, he doesn't even use a script.
I think a lot of content creators hide behind knowledge, scripts, over editing. They hide their personality behind those things because they haven't developed the ability to bring it out yet, without recognizing that if you always read from a script, you're just gonna get better at reading from a script. If you always hide behind over editing, you're only gonna get better at over editing. Whereas if you just get on camera and you show your flaws and your scars and your ums and ahs and all the things that you struggle with in terms of making content, guess what? Over the next year, you're gonna get exceptional at talking off the cuff on camera.
This is all something's made a part of his brand, because when you see his setup, it immediately screams Tom Noski. And lastly, Tom is sticking to one format. He's not trying to follow the next trend, because he knows that the more you stick with one format, the more that format gets associated with you, therefore building a long-term brand. So he's managed to craft a personal brand that covers his entire existence, but still converts better than a super niche personal brand. He's managed to embed content into his lifestyle so it takes zero effort. And lastly, he's managed to convert all of that attention into multiple 7 figures. Let me know in the comments if you'd actually want a separate video specifically on his funnel. I mean, that's great, but what can we take from Tom's brand and apply it into our own personal brand so we get similar results? The first thing you want to do is craft what they call your brand's identity. This is like your North Star for your entire journey. To craft this, you'll use the why, who, how framework. Why is essentially the reason you're here. Why are you doing this? What are you trying to get out? And what's your 5-year vision for this personal brand? The who is essentially who do we give to get what we want? What stage are they in their life and or business? What's stopping them from achieving their dream outcome? What are their biggest visions and desires? What are they passionate about? What are their core values? And what are their biggest fears in life? You can even go as far as giving them names, faces, and backstories to really make them a part of your identity. The how is how do we attract them? What do we post? As a rule of thumb, you can post anything as long as it relates to that avatar. And then based on that, create some general pillars. When it comes to actually targeting these people, the way I like to view it is that you have 2 categories of aspects. You have the niche aspects, so what stage they're in, where they want to get, and what's stopping them, the bottlenecks. The second category is identity aspects. So what are their core values, what are their passions, what are the biggest visions and desires, and what are the biggest fears in life. You use the niche aspects to build trust and authority with your ICP. You use the identity aspects to build an emotional connection with them. When you combine both into your personal brand, a couple of interesting things happen. You naturally attract your ICP. You attract people sharing the same mindset as your ICP. You repel people that don't. You qualify people that are not in a position to invest yet through your free content. And it's guaranteed because they share the same mindset, which leads to you getting more conferences, making a bigger impact, and crafting a community of like-minded individuals. Next step is to maximize leverage within your content, so produce the highest quality content with the least amount of it. You do this by decreasing the friction it takes to film. Tom does that by filming coaching calls. You can do the same, where you can have your camera in your car, let's say, so whenever you get some inspiration, you can get straight to filming. And lastly, you want to pick 1 to 2 formats and just stick with them. Do not hop from trend to trend, and allow yourself to grow within those formats. So I guess this brings this video to an end. It's been a pleasure for me to be able to share that value with you, so that you can build a personal brand that's, well, personal. If you're an entrepreneur making over 5 figures a month and want me to buy all these principles and even more that I used to grow my own personal brand to over 300,000 followers in less than a year to your personal brand with the least amount of effort on your end, then click the link in the description and we'll see what we can do for you. Peace.